Hi everyone, I'm going to show a very simple video on organizing your data from the raw data. So here I have my form and I'll go to the responses and I'll click this view responses and sheets. That opens up, and if you've already manipulated some of your data, that's okay. I know you have to turn in the raw data. In that case, you can go here into the edit history and you'll see previous versions. So you can go to the one that wasn't manipulated. You can name it to say something like raw data, and then you can click restore this version. And that'll get it back to all the raw data. If you don't want to lose what you've manipulated, that's easy as well. You can just make sure you copy and paste the whole thing of whatever you've manipulated. Copy and paste it, or just copy it and then hold it and then paste it a little bit later. So anyways, you can also go back into the edit history. So basically it'll tell you that the current version is restored, but you can just go back to the manipulated version. Of course here I made a totally new sheet, so that's not what you see here. So you can always go back. Okay, so now I'm going to do some simple manipulation of data. I'm going to, first of all, I like to create a whole duplicate of it. And just in case if you want extra sheets for organizing. I don't need the timestamp, so I can either delete it, I can hide it. Sometimes I just like to hide it. I also don't need the informed consent to view, so I'm going to hide that as well. There's demographic things that I won't be looking at. Say it may be similar to you. I'm going to hide it. I will hide it. And so now I have just the things I want to look at. So age, gender, and relationship status. And I also have so in my form I have 3 questionnaires, but I actually won't be looking at one of them. So make sure you know all of the ones that fit under your questions. Mine's easy because it has the instructions, and once the instructions change, I know that's when my new construct questions change. First, I'm just going to make these a different color. So say for this construct, I'm going to make them all yellow. This will just help me organize it a little bit. And to make sure I separate the next constructs, these 5 questions are the construct that I won't be using, so I'm actually going to hide the columns. Next, my variable that I do want to look at are the remaining questions. I'm going to make those a different color. The color thing is optional. And personally, I like to separate the variables into different Excel sheets because when I do all my analysis, I want it to not be distracted by the other data. So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to put it on a new sheet. And I'm also going to go back and grab these, let's see, I'm going to go back and grab these demographic ones. I'm going to right click the column that I want the demographics to be next to. I'm going to say insert one column to the left. And then I'm going to paste it here. And because I'm also copy and pasting the hidden columns, I have to account for that many columns, otherwise it's going to override my data. So just in case I did extra here, I made sure that this column's not going to get overridden. And now we're safe. Okay, and you see the hidden ones are still there. So first we're going to just clean up the data. As you can see, I have Likert scale answers that include the text of what the number means. I'm going to clean that up so that it just shows up just as numbers. For each question title as well, I'm going to clean up the title so it doesn't say every time the instructions. To do that, I'm going to copy and paste this section that shows up in every one of my questions. I'm going to copy it, I'm going to click Control Find on Windows. I guess it's Command Find on Mac. I'm going to, it goes into the finding sheet, but I'm going to go here, those three buttons. I'm going to paste what I want to clean up. I'm going to replace it with just a space bar. I might not even need that. I'm going to just clean it up in this sheet. And this, we don't need to click any of these, I'm going to click Replace All. Oh, so you don't need to click space. I'm going to click Done, and you'll see that now it looks cleaner. And now I can go in and add like the question numbers. This is optional. It's a little tedious. Oops. So I'm not going to do all of it. Now next, I'm going to clean up the answer responses. I'm going to show you mistakes that can happen when you try to clean up your data. So if you have words like disagree, but also mildly disagree, or strongly disagree, you have to be careful about your replacement. So if you're in Google Sheets, you want to go to Control F or Command F. You want to find the words that you want to replace into numbers. I'm going to show you how not to do it first. So if you just do disagree, and you replace it with 2, and then you just do this sheet, and you just click replace all. Well, because there's overlap in 2 other answers, you've kind of replaced the word and replaced it with the wrong number. Of course, there's ways to go around this, but just to prevent all of that, we can do something different from the beginning. So I'm going to Control Z, undo that. So first of all, you can click match entire cell content, and it'll only replace the one that has the whole cell matching with this. So that's one way. Another way is if you just start with the biggest words first that don't have any overlap with other things. So strongly disagree does not show up in anywhere else. And you can replace that. And definitely never start with agree first if you don't click match entire cell contents, because agree is in almost everything. So this is what it would do. So yeah, just do that for all the sections. I will show you. Do it here. Luckily, I've just done hopefully when you made your Google form, you actually included a number in it. That makes it so much easier. So, for example, if you just did this, replacing and cleaning up your data becomes way easier. All you have to do is copy and paste the portion that's not the number, copy and paste, or copy, and then you have to go to replace. So I find this and I replace it with nothing. And I just do this sheet, and I don't click any of these because none of these are relevant, and it's not going to match the entire cell content because I want to keep the number in it. So I just click replace all, and it'll say it replaced 388 of them. That's great. And now you'll see it just becomes a number. It's very easy. So I'll do that for all of them. Copy, Control Find, find this, replace it with nothing, place. Yep. This one now. Control Find, find this, replace it with nothing. This sheet, replace all, and copy, Control F, find this, replace it with nothing. This sheet, and replace all, and you're done. And this one, lastly, I think the sheet replace all. And just like that, you have all of these covered. So you want to make sure that your questions are numbered, because now we're going to talk about scoring. And make sure it's matched up with the exact order from the original questionnaire that has all the scoring instructions. If anyone knows an easier way to do this, let me know. So I'm also going to name this. So if I say insert column to the left, I'm going to say relationship trait, or I could just say relationship scale. And let's pretend that question number 1 needs to be reverse scored. So what I do is I insert a column to the right, and I write 1 reversed score. So this can be a tricky part, because if you try Googling how to input reverse scores in Excel, if you want to just try doing it, you'll see that there's some very complicated ways to do it. But they can be easy too. So what I Googled was to reverse the score. All you have to do is make a formula, a simple formula so I'm going to type in equals. So that initiates the formula creation in Excel. I'm going to find the number that's 1 number greater than the highest number in my Likert scale. So this Likert scale is from 1 to 5. So I'm going to add 1 to 5, which is the highest number, and it's going to give me 6. So to reverse it, to reverse any scores here, I'm just going to do 6 minus, and I'm going to click on this cell. I'm going to do that, click enter, and luckily Google Sheets will actually suggest autofill. So of course click this if you have Google Sheets. If you're doing it on the desktop Excel, it might allow this, but if not, then I'll show you. All you have to do is drag this bottom right hand corner square. You drag this down so then it can copy and paste the formula. But the formula is saved, and it will, when you drag it down, it follows where you drag it to. So as you can see, this formula says J2 here, which is this corresponding neighbor cell. And then we go down, when you've added the formula here, it automatically changes to J3. There are some cases where you actually want to keep the cell, only the cell, one cell that you have in the formula, but we're not going to cover that right now. You can also look it up. It includes putting a $sign in the formula. Okay, now as you can see, I can just drag all this all the way to the bottom. And it will have all the reverse scores. Of course, you can double check it as well. So the reverse score of 2 is 4. Okay, and here's that. That's correct. Okay, so all that's correct. And what I like to do to make sure that I have the reverse score that I'm going to use in the total scoring, I make that either bold, or I make it a whole new color. I make it very obvious that it is the reverse score, because when you add up the total score, you do not want to accidentally add up the wrong thing, and then the total score will be messed up. I'm going to show you how to score it real quick, a very simple way. I'm just going to pretend that my scoring only has these 4 questions, and one of them is reversed. So depending on the scoring instructions of your questionnaire, you have to create the correct formula. I'll show you 2 examples. One, where I have the average of the scores. And then the second one, I'm going to show you the sum of all the scores. You might already be familiar with this, but if you're not, here it is. So in my total score, I'll bold it so I know. Sometimes I also like to change the colors on this just a little bit different. I'm going to do the equal sign, and as you can see, it actually tries to tell me like a suggestion of a sum. Be very careful with this, because as you can see, this would be the wrong thing. I do not want the sum of all of this, especially because I have 2 number 1 scores. So for this, we're going to do average first. So if you type in mean, they actually don't have mean. So do not do mean. You're going to do average. So, and it'll try to suggest to you what it wants. But in this case, we know better than the computer. And we're going to click average. we're going to click on the cells. As you can see, if you just try to click on them individually, they're not going to add up together. So either you want to just drag all of them like this, or if you have, say like you don't have one that's continuous, you can just say, you just click this and click Control, and you just select and pick up a few of these. If you want to only select a few. Yeah, and be careful not to click too many times. So once again, pretend that, okay, this is not considering like subcategories. So I'll just do Control, and I'm going to drag all of these. Okay, so now I have the average score of these four. I have the reverse score and the raw data score here. Once again, if I drag all this down, it copies the formula into its respective row. So that's one way. Now, if the questionnaire tells me to do a sum instead, well, that's easy. I just drag all of these, and that's it. So, yeah. Okay, now, if you have a subcategory within your data set, you might have to do like total subcategory 1 and total subcategory number 2. And in this case, I'll actually write in the title what they include. So I'll do, say, number 1 reversed and number 3. This is all depending on your questionnaire, so it really depends. And I'll just pretend that this one is number 2 and number 4. So in this case, I'll pretend that it's an averaged number score. So I'm going to click average again, and I'm only going to select the ones that I've written down. So 1 reverse, and this is where the control feature is very useful, because I can hop over number 2, and then I can just go pick up number 3. And I close the parentheses, and I click enter, and I have the average score of only those 2 columns. You can always double check, and also if you double click any of these formulas, it'll select the cells that are inputted into it. So this way you can always double check that you selected the correct one. And now I'm just going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to do average of number 2 and number 4. So I click number 2, and then I click, while holding down Control, I click answer number 4. And do that, and here I'll do the autofill. So that would be my category scores. And that's it for now. I'm not going to show you the statistics part portion. Today's video is just about organizing your data. Here's an example of my finished organizing. As you see, I'm also in Excel on the desktop version, because this is what I did for my actual data analysis. The Google Sheets was just an example. So as you can see, I have color-coded the subcategories of my relationship attachment styles. I've also noted their genders. The labels are helpful when you do descriptive stats or any tests, because it'll allow you to say your labels and keep that in your data collection. So you can see when I do descriptive stats here, the label gets inputted here. You'll also note that some of these questions, for example, this average here, my preoccupied trait actually uses the reverse of number 6, but my dismissing trait uses the original number 6. So that's why, for me, I like to keep both the reverse and the raw score not hidden,